There are a number of short answer questions related with Himalayas asked by Commission in UPSC, asked by the Commission in India and General Studies. One question is, Himalaya is resource for India. Himalaya is a folded tertiary mountain having three ranges in the northern margin or northern part of India between India and Pakistan. And how Himalaya serves as a resource for India? It is very important. First, you will define what is resource. Resources are all those things which are being identified by man for the use and welfare of the man. And how Himalaya serves as a resource, this may be described in several points. For example, number one, its location. Its location itself is resource because this serves as natural boundary between the two countries, India and China. And then second point, its structure. Its structures are also resource because in Himalayas there are different structures, rocks like igneous, sedimentary, metamorphosed. These rocks are resource. For example, a number of minerals are mined from the Himalayan region as coal in Jammu Kashmir Jungle Gully, and here coal, sandstone, marble, quartzite and other rocks are mined. Likewise, the igneous rocks due to fluvio-glacial process forms the Karewa lake and structure in Jammu and Kashmir, and here the sandstone and especially slate, clay, these are also mined. In the western Himalaya, in Himachal Pradesh, there is a rich deposit of salt rock, and here a number of minerals are found which are of different industrial importance. The next point after the structure or rock is topography or relief. The relief of Himalayas is also resource because there are snow-capped peaks on the greater Himalayas which serve as the tourist spots, and these are hill resorts as well as religious spots like Gangotri, Yamunotri, Kedarnath, Badrinath and others, starting from the western Jammu Kashmir Himalayas to the eastern Himalayas. Thus, the height in itself is a resource which attracts the worldwide tourists and earns a rich amount of money for India. Then, after structure and relief, it is drainage. Drainage of Himalayas is also very important resource because most of the rivers of India originate from the Himalayan region. Those may be glacial fed rivers like Yamuna, Ganga, Kali, Kosi, Tista and others. And those may be rain-fed rivers also, which drain southward and carry sufficient amount of their catchment water and support it to the Gangetic plain for drinking purpose, for irrigation and for the recharge of subsurface aquifers. Thus, the Himalayas serve the water for the northern India and especially by their glaciers. After structure, topography and drainage comes climate. With reference to climate, this Himalayas is a resource because we have already studied that Himalayas give special character to Indian monsoon climate in two ways. Number one, during winter season, Himalayan ranges, especially Greater Himalayan range, prohibit the cold Siberian winds coming from the north and keeps India subtropical condition. In the summer season, the Himalayan mountain range, especially Shivalik and Middle, obstruct the southwest summer monsoon. It may be any branch, Bay of Bengal branch or Arabian Sea branch and cause sufficient rain along the southern slope of Himalayas. That rainwater comes down up to the Gangetic plain and it serves as a very valuable resource for India for agriculture, forestry, drinking water and others. After climate comes the soil. Himalayan soil is very rich, and as we know that in greater Himalayan region, soil is although coarse but it is useful for the growth of coniferous forest, and there some fruits like apple is grown. In the middle Himalayas, the soil is also rich, and here also a number of plants and horticultures are practiced. For example, on the middle Himalayan range, in its eastern part, there is good production of tea. In the western part of middle Himalayas, especially Himachal Pradesh and Jammu Kashmir, the fruits are produced and horticulture is very good in the western part. Contrary to it, in the Shivalik Himalayas, the thick soil supports the production of different crops, and there steppe farming is practiced. Now come to the valleys like Kashmir Valley, Kulu Manali Valley, which are located between the greater and middle Himalayas, have rich soil deposit which are good for the production of different crops, especially wheat, potato and other crops. In dunes like Dehradun, Kotadun, located between middle and Shivalik Himalayas, it is very rich alluvial soil which supports good production of rice and other crops. Thus, soil of Himalayan region is very fertile, very diverse and supports different vegetations and different crops for the livelihood of the tribes living there. Now, after soil come to vegetation. Vegetation of Himalayan region is also very diverse and very important resource for India. For example, in greater Himalayas, there are dense coniferous forests which supply the soft wood for furniture industry, and in that region there is a very soft grass like Marg in Jammu and Kashmir, Bugyal and Payal in Uttarakhand, which support the grazing or pastoral industry in that region and supports the livelihood of the farmers. Likewise, over the middle Himalayas, the vegetation is of mixed type, means coniferous as well as deciduous forests are found there, and that is also a very good resource for different wood-based industries. In the southern part means Shivalik region, the vegetation is of deciduous nature where bamboo, mango and other trees are found at large scale which support the economy of the people living in the Shivalik region, especially tribals. Thus, the Himalayan region supports as the resource with reference to its location, structure, relief, climate, soil and vegetation. Besides these, there are a number of good opportunities which attract the Indians for the development of their economy. Thus, in brief, you can say that Himalayas is a resource for India. Likewise, the second question is the importance of greater Himalayas. Here, you will focus on the greater Himalayas only. You will not touch here the middle and Shivalik. You know that greater Himalayas is the highest among the three, which consists of different ranges, peaks, pass and glaciers. That's why you will discuss these points only with reference to greater Himalayas. Related to its location, as you have discussed in the previous question, related to its location, the greater Himalayas is located in the north of the total Himalayan region and forms a natural boundary between India and China about 40 to 60 kilometer wide ice-covered, glacier-covered range prohibits China to enter India, and thus it serves a natural boundary. Second point, after location, the next point is the altitude or height. The Greater Himalayan range consists of different ranges, peaks and pass, and the peaks are snow-covered glaciers and which serves water to the perennial or the glacial-fed rivers. Next importance is that there are a number of passes like here Zojila Pass, Sipkila Pass, and in Sikkim there are Chola Pass, Bamchola Pass, Nachula Pass, and other passes over the Greater Himalayas regions are located, which give passes from India to China, from China to India. Thus, the Greater Himalayas is a very good resource. Then comes structure. There are a number of rocks, especially metamorphosed rocks, which are resource, but these are under the ice, that's why it is difficult to be excavated. Thus, in the Greater Himalayan region, there drainage is also very rich because it is Greater Himalayas which supplies water to different perennial rivers in India like Yamuna, Ganga, Kali, Kosi, etc. After that, its drainage is very important, better than the other Himalayan ranges, means Middle and Shivalik. Then its soil is also very valuable and it is of coarse nature and it consists of morainic soil, glacio or fluvio-glacial formed soil, and that's why this coarse soil is suitable for coniferous forest. And then it works as a barrier to the cold Siberian waves during winter to reach the India. Thus it is pedologically, climatically, topographically and biologically especially separate and unique from the Middle and Shivalik Himalayas. In this way, we can reach a conclusion that Greater Himalayas is unique in comparison to Middle and Shivalik, and it has its own contribution to the economy and resource of India. The third point is Middle Himalayas range provides India better resource than the other. Here we have to focus on the Middle Himalayan range. We know that to the south of Greater and to the north of Shivalik, it is Middle Himalayan range parallel to those two. And how it is unique, better than the others, we have to discuss the Middle Himalayas. Related to location, its position is in the middle of the three ranges. One traveling from the Shivalik to the Greater or from Greater to the Shivalik has to cross and stay over the Middle Himalayas. Now its height or altitude is also very important. Its peaks are nearly between 2000 to 3000 meters. In the Greater Himalayas, most of the peaks are snow-covered, which have different religious places, but the Middle Himalaya height is suitable for the establishment of the hill resort and tourist spots. For example, a number of hill stations here like here Kashmir, Kulu, Manali, Mussoorie, Nainital, and likewise in the eastern Himalayas there are a number of hill stations, and these hill stations attract worldwide tourists and enrich the economy of Himalayan region as well as India. And the Middle Himalayas supports Middle Himalayas is climatically also very important. Climatically, Middle Himalayas causes sufficient rain by obstructing the summer monsoon. It may be Bay of Bengal branch or this Arabian Sea branch. Thus, the southern slopes receive or cause sufficient summer monsoon in the middle Himalayan region. After climate, we focus on the soil of middle Himalayas. Middle Himalayas soil is very rich and fertile, and it is of alluvial nature. To the north of this middle Himalayas, there are a number of fertile valleys like Kashmir Valley, Kulu, Manali Valley, Pokhara Valley in Nepal, etc. Likewise, to the south of middle Himalayas, there are fertile dunes like Dehradun, Kotadun and others, which have rich and fertile alluvial deposits used for the production of rice and other Kharif and Rabi crops. Thus, the middle Himalayas is pedologically very rich, better than the other two ranges. Now, its biotic condition is also very rich because in these temperate type of vegetations, a number of plant species are found, and here conifers and deciduous nature of vegetations are found in mixed conditions, which are of very high economic importance. Likewise, it is also important for the production of different crops. Like in eastern middle Himalayas, the production of tea is at large scale. Contrary to in western middle Himalayas, production of different fruits are there, and due to this region, a number of animal species are found here, and these are the things which attracts tourists, and due to tourism and these resources, dense population is also found there. There are a number of cities, hill stations developed in the valleys, along the slopes, on the mountain tops. Thus, from human settlement and development viewpoint, middle Himalayas is in better condition than the greater and Shivalik Himalayas, and middle Himalayas is altitudinally, climatically, pedologically and biospherically very important. Now, next point is transverse subdivision of Himalayas. We have already studied the longitudinal subdivisions of Himalayas, wherein there was special mention of the Himalayan ranges from westernmost point to the easternmost point, and longitudinally we divide Himalayas in three ranges. Number one, Greater Himalayas, Middle Himalayas, then third is South Himalayas. But as we have discussed that while dividing Himalayas in transverse way, we divide Himalayas in this position in the across line. For example, if we divide Himalayas in states and along the state boundaries, that is the transverse division of Himalayas. Generally, Himalayas are divided in transverse way by the rivers, but today the political boundary of states serves better purpose for the transverse division of Himalayas. For example, it is Jammu and Kashmir Himalayas, and its eastern boundary is the political boundary between Jammu Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, and previously Satluj was taken as the easternmost boundaries of the Jammu Kashmir Himalayas, but today it is political boundary between Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh that serves the eastern boundary of Jammu and Kashmir. While discussing the regional account of the Jammu Kashmir Himalayas, you will first define the boundary, then discuss about here the Ladakh range, Jaskar range, Greater Himalayas, Middle or Panjal Himalayas, and then Shivalik. All will be discussed there. And then comes the Himachal Himalayas. The western boundary of Himachal Himalayas is along the political boundary with the Jammu and Kashmir, while its eastern boundary here is the boundary between Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Thus, here to the west of Uttarakhand, it is river Jamuna and its tributary Tons, which demarcates boundary between Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Thus, you can define the boundary of this Himachal Himalayas, wherein all the three ranges, their characteristics will be discussed in detail. For example, here Greater Himalayas, then Middle Himalayas are Dhauladhar range, and then Shivalik Himalayas are Solasinghi range or Mainak range. It is also noteworthy that previously this Himachal state was part of this Punjab state. When the Himachal Pradesh and this Punjab states were united, that time the entire region was called Punjab Himalayas, while after the separation of Himachal Pradesh from Punjab, this is now called the Himachal Himalayas, because the natural boundary between Himachal Pradesh and Punjab is this Shivalik range or Solasinghi range or Mainak Parbat. Thus, you will discuss all the three ranges of the Himalayas in the transverse discussion of the Himachal Himalayas. Now come to the Uttarakhand Himalayas, the western boundary of which is with nearly the boundary with the Himachal Pradesh are Tons and its main branch Jamuna River, while the eastern boundary is with Nepal are formed by the natural line Kali River. And in the Uttaranchal Himalayas, you will discuss all the three ranges, Greater, Middle and Shivalik. Then comes it is Nepal Himalayas, which is not subject matter of study in the Indian geography. It is being studied by the Nepalese students. And to the east of Nepal Himalayas, it is the Sikkim Himalayas, while Sikkim is included in the eastern Indian states. That's why previously there were 7 sisters. 7 sisters means the eastern states, wherein number 1 Arunachal, number 2 Assam, number 3 Meghalaya, number 4 Nagaland, number 5 Manipur, number 6 Mizoram, number 7 Tripura. These were the 7 sisters, but the geographical conditions of Sikkim resembles with that of these the 7 sisters. That's why sometimes some geographers say that there are 8 sisters, 7 these plus this Sikkim, 8th one. And that's why the Sikkim sometimes is included in the eastern Himalayan region. But while in the transverse classification, we put this Sikkim as independent transverse region, the western boundary of which is with the international boundary with Nepal, while there is one natural boundary also. For example, on the border of Sikkim and Nepal, there is Kanchenjunga range, very high peak that serves as watery white. But to its south, there is a Singalila range, that is naturally forms boundary between Nepal and Sikkim, and the eastern boundary of the Sikkim transverse region of Himalayas is with the international political boundary with here Bhutan, and it is Chumbi Ghati and Natula Pass that separate the two. Thus, in Sikkim Himalayas, you will discuss the Greater Himalaya ranges, its peaks, pass, and Middle Himalayas, where there are a number of hill stations, and the Shivalik range and its foothill. Now, in the eastern Himalayan region, it spreads here in Arunachal Pradesh only, and here in the east of it is a river Brahmaputra, which forms the eastern boundary of this Arunachal Himalayas or eastern Himalayas, and its southern boundary is with the political boundary of Assam, while northern boundary McMahon line. Now, to the east of his Dibang, Dihang Valley starts Purvanchal Himalayas, and Purvanchal Himalayas spreads in some part of Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura. In Tripura, there are a number of ranges like Atharamura, Sakhai-Tiang and Jampai-Tiang ranges, and from Namcha Barwa to this Atharamura range, this is the Purvanchal Himalayas, not Eastern Himalayas. Eastern Himalayas is located in Arunachal Pradesh, while Purvanchal Himalaya from Arunachal Pradesh to Tripura. And this is Meghalaya's Himalayas. Virtually, Meghalaya consists of the three ranges Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, which are structurally not part of the Himalayan region, but this is called Gondwana Himalaya. Why? Because this part of Meghalaya was geologically associated with the Chota Nagpur plateau, and it was tectonically separated because the Malda Gap was formed between these two, but it is in proximity with the Eastern Himalayas. Hence, geologists declared the Meghalaya ranges as Gondwana Himalayas. Thus, entire Himalaya region can be divided in transverse subdivisions in this way, wherein you will discuss all separately and independently. Now, next point is maximum biodiversity in the Shivalik region. We are discussing all the three Himalayan ranges independently, unique in this or that way. Likewise, the Shivalik is also unique because it has maximum biodiversity in comparison to the greater and middle Himalayas. First, you will define what is biodiversity. Biodiversity means the diverse species of the plants and animals. Why here there is maximum biodiversity? Because of two natural factors. Number one, the Shivalik is located in the southernmost part of the three Himalayan ranges. Hence, it is close to the Tropic of Cancer and receives high amount of insolation. It is high amount of insolation which helps plant to grow and diverse plants, and due to high insolation, here temperature is also higher in comparison to the two Himalayan ranges, and it is high temperature which helps plants to flourish and grow. That's why there in Shivalik biodiversity is very much. Second point, the southwest summer monsoon first collides with the Shivalik ranges, and there is sufficient rain on the Shivalik hill, and it is rain or it is water which helps seeds to germinate and grow fastly. Thus, it has clearly a tropical or subtropical climatic condition. Due to it, there the weathering is at high rate, and there is thick layer of alluvial soil which also supports different types of plants. And these are the two conditions, climatic and pedological, which are found in the Shivalik region and support the growth of luxuriant deciduous forest. And due to dense forest, different species and very much population of species, here a number of animal species are found. The species range from deciduous and from grassland species to coniferous region species. Thus, biospherically, Shivalik is richer than that found over the middle and Shivalik. Next very important point is that the southern slopes of Himalayas have rich biosphere. As we have discussed that the Shivalik is biospherically richer than the middle and greater Himalayas. But here question differs from that, because here it is mentioned that the southern slopes of Himalayas, that may be greater Himalaya range, that may be middle Himalayan range, and that may be Shivalik Himalayan range, have rich biosphere, there is rich biodiversity. Why? Its causes are two, because number one, here sun shines vertical up to Tropic of Cancer in the month of June, and to its north sun never moves, and that's why the southern slopes of Himalayan ranges receive much amount of insolation for the photosynthesis of the plants, while on the northern slope, sun is never vertical, never provides so high amount of insolation, and in the southern slope of the Himalayan ranges, there is much insolation, and that's why there is high amount of temperature. It is temperature that supports the luxuriant growth of plant and animal, and it supports the rich biosphere. That's why the southern slopes of Greater Himalayas are biospherically very rich, means there is growth of good dense coniferous forest and different grasses for the pastoral industry like marg in Jammu and Kashmir, bugyal and payal, temperate and soft grass in Uttarakhand. Likewise, in the middle Himalayan range, the southern slopes are characterized with the rich vegetation. Its cause is also the same, that the insolation is received much along the southern slope. But here is another reason also, because the southern slope receive much rainfall during summer southwest monsoon, and that rainfall with the high amount of insolation supports rich vegetation of mixed forest. Likewise, in the Shivalik region, the southern slopes get good amount of insolation, temperature and rainfall. That's why the southern slopes of all these three ranges has very rich biosphere, and if the plant species, its population will be much, the biodiversity will be much, and this is the reason that the southern slopes have rich biodiversity. But one question we had discussed, that the southern slopes of Himalayan ranges are steep. Then how the steep slope will support the rich or dense vegetation? The southern slopes are steeper than the northern slope. Steeper does not mean that they are having vertical slope. They have some slope, but it is here insolation amount and the supply of water which supports vegetation first and slope comes second. Thus, the southern slope of Himalayas have rich biodiversity, and here due to rich or dense and flourishing plants, the animals also attract to that rich vegetation, and it is the combination of dense forest, plants and the animals which makes here biosphere or biome or biotic community very rich, and it can be evidence that here all the biospheric reserves or national parks like here in Namdhapa, here Nainital, Dudhwa and others are developed along the southern slopes of the Himalayan region. Thus, the southern slopes of Himalayan region are biospherically, pedospherically, climatically very rich and developed.